I was just listening to a presenter who used the story of the Lion King to make certain points about the land being prosperous versus the land being cursed based on who's in leadership. And so, as you know, the story of the Lion King, you've got Mustafa, the king, you've got Simba, the son of the king, and you've got Scar, the brother of Mustafa, who becomes king. And the deal is this: if you don't know the story, I'm just going to highlight it really quickly to make my point. Scar was jealous of Mustafa. And when an opportunity presented itself to get rid of Mustafa, to outright kill him, Scar did. However, the situation presented itself in such a way that it appeared as though Simba, the baby of Mustafa, had actually caused Mustafa's death, when in actuality it was Scar who created the situation and pinned it on Simba. Simba, in shame, runs away as a small child, as a small cub, runs away and stays away for a long period of time until he becomes basically a teenager / young adult. He had to grow up a little bit. He got bigger. He became a bit more mature. He had to wrestle with the demon that had been presented to him in the form of him thinking that he had killed his own father, the king. Now, while Mustafa, or I shouldn't say Mustafa, while Simba was away, and Mustafa obviously is dead at this point, Scar takes the position as king, a position that was not rightfully his. The position was supposed to go to Simba, but in Simba's absence, because he ran away, Scar takes the position as king. It's of note that during Mustafa's reign, while Mustafa was living, the land thrived. Not only did the pride of lions thrive, not only did they do well, but so did the other animals around. Nature presented itself according to how it is designed, and people benefited from what was going on there. When Scar took over, there came drought and desolation and hunger and anger and frustration. People were without. It was a bad situation. But some way, somehow, Mustafa found himself spiritually in Simba, because Simba was his son. So the father's spirit remains in the child to some degree or another. So Simba ends up coming back to the pride, growner now, bigger now, with some understanding now. And the pride and everybody and everything around it begins to celebrate, except for Scar. Because Scar, again, has assumed the role of king, though he wasn't supposed to be. And this perceived power that he's received, he does not desire to relinquish. And he doesn't relinquish it without a challenge, obviously. And then that challenge comes in the form of Simba, the rightful king. Long story short, Simba ends up taking the throne as it was designed. And as a result, the land thrives yet again. The pride thrives yet again. What came to me, and some of you might have already heard this logic before, but this came to me today, is that the name Scar is appropriate for Simba's uncle, Mustafa's brother, who took the crown, took the throne unrightfully, if I can use that term. Scar was jealous of Mustafa for a long time. And based on what, I don't know. I've not seen that next installation of Lion King that deals with the story from Scar's perspective, so I don't know what that might reveal. But I do know this. A scar in and of itself is a reminder of a past wound. A scar is a reminder of a previous wound. And a wound happens when there is some sort of incident, accident, perhaps an altercation, and the individual carrying the wound is inflicted somehow. And when that wound heals on the outside, it oftentimes leaves a scar outwardly as a reminder that a wound was there. The thing about wounds, as it relates to the term scar, is that wounds heal on the outside, but sometimes they don't quite heal on the inside. Inside being spiritual. I have this reminder of a puncture here. That's the scar, reminding me that I was wounded at some point. That part is healed, though I've got the scar, the reminder. But inwardly, how am I processing the whole event, the whole cause and effect scenario, the cause of this wound? How is that affecting me? Have I healed from that? Though this is healed, perhaps I'm still scarred. I'm still scarred from what went down. I'm still not healed inwardly, though healed apparently outwardly. My scars can affect how I move. My scars can affect how I think. My scars can affect how I handle people. I have to handle my scars, both inward and outward. I have to handle my scars. But before I can handle my scars, I have to acknowledge my scars. So going back to the Lion King, Scar perhaps handled things exactly as he was supposed to, based on the fact that he was still mindful of his scar, his wounds. He had not healed. He had not gotten beyond them. He had not learned from them. He had not gained the wisdom from those wounds. And every time he looked at himself and saw the physical scar, it took him back to the place of the emotional, the spiritual scar, the wound. And it made him move a certain way because he was thinking a certain way. And the end result is that people were affected a certain way, impacted a certain way. We have to be mindful of our scars. That's the whole message.